Hey, co-reporters, it's time for a recap of what went down on last night's episode of Teen Mom 2. Okay, so can we just... It's a mess in Leah's scenes, okay? It's a mess. V is a snake. We're going to get into that, but let's start at the top. And before I mention that, right now, because I'm in Canada, I don't need to use the VPN that I use anymore. But if you are outside of Canada and you want to watch this full episode, get yourself a VPN. I've got an affiliate link to the one that I use in the description box down below. So with that out of the way, at the top of the episode, Jaylan asked Leah to be his girlfriend on a date night in Costa Rica. The official Teen Mom cameras were not there for the trip. Also at the trip, Victoria got engaged to her baby daddy, Rumour. And mind you, Jaylan asking Leah to be his girlfriend on the date in Costa Rica, Leah already laid out the timeline for us in her In Touch Weekly interview. And we know that that was about 1 month after meeting each other and going on their first date, that Costa Rica and the relationship being officialized happened. So all of this is happening in August 2021 based on Leah's timeline, which is going to be very important because per usual, she tries to fudge up the timeline with us. After the trip, of course, Leah comes home to describe it to her friend. And I have to say, I really loved the blue eye purple eyeliner combination. Her eyes looked so gorgeous when she was talking. So at this point, after 1 month of dating, Leah is talking to her friend about planning to introduce Jaylan to her kids. She says that she and Jaylan spoke about him meeting the girls in Costa Rica. Again, Costa Rica happened 1 month into dating. And she says that Jay is nervous to meet the girls. But of course, he is all for it because, of course. Then we flip over to Florida, where Brianna and Brittany come back from shooting Teen Mom Family Reunion. The girls charge to hug their auntie Brittany, which made me laugh. It's nothing bad against Brianna. It's just how kids are, right? With aunts, grandparents, uncles, cousins, deadbeat dads, anyone who's not doing the bulk of the disciplining for them. We finally do get to see Devon's girlfriend on the show. He takes her mini golfing, and then we get a bunch of flashbacks to Brittany and her family ambushing and berating him. Honestly, it was tough to watch the way that they've been treating that man over the years. Yes, Devon is not the greatest, but just the way that they all ambush him as a team and stuff, and it's just him standing there. It's like, this is not a good look. Brittany and Roxanne need to stay out of their personal business a little bit more because this is just not a healthy dynamic to have. I have to say as well, whenever Devon's girlfriend kind of has her head a little bit higher up and you see more of her bone structure, particularly her jaws and her beautiful jawline and her high cheekbones, she looks a lot like Ari Lennox to me, and I just love it. Oh my God, by the way, you guys, over in Dover, Petty Betty is back. We only had like a 1 episode break from this woman, and here she is, the cloud of misery just, looming over us. Apparently in real life, it's been 3 months since she's filmed, which I find interesting because, again, Kail only vanished literally from 1 episode on us. And then it turns out that in that 1 episode, 3 months had passed away since that 1 episode, since we saw her, 3 months had passed. Meanwhile, in Leah's world, the timeline is moving really slowly, right? Did you guys remark that and kind of wonder why that is? That we're still within the first month of Leah's relationship situation, and then Kail, 3 months is gone. I found that quite fascinating. So Kail says that she's done with Chris on a co-parenting level because he never really responds to her text messages. So she's like throwing her hands up in the air. She was upset about him filming for the show because she feels like that's not what she wants to represent. The therapy journey has kind of taught her better than that, which I found a little bit laughable because in the same breath, she talks about how she gets along with literally nobody. She's not getting along with Joe. She's not getting along with Javi unless they're banging. So why is this any different? So now we're in California where Ashley's mom hosts a cake decorating workshop. And so Ashley and Bar show up to support, get the cameras rolling, promote the mama's business, which I love to see. Listen, I would love to go to something like that. I love those little activities like the paint and sips, and like I did the ceramic stuff I really enjoyed doing with my friends. I love little activities, and I would love to learn how to make cakes like that and decorate them and whatnot. It's such a smart idea. And I wondered if it was hosted in that new space that Ashley was showing us around as well. So then Ashley's sister pulls her aside. Okay, side note, you guys, I'm going to post the picture up right here. Does Ashley's sister remind anybody else of Michael Strahan? I'm not being shady. She reminds me of Michael Strahan. I don't know if it's the lisp, the gap, the similar skin tone, the similar eyes. I don't know what it is, but all of that combined together, I'm getting a strong Michael Strand vibe from her. So listen, she pulls Ashley aside to rehash the same tragic, marriage storyline for the millionth time. I had to skip through it because, as you guys know, I do not care. Ashley walked into that marriage eyes wide shut. She got exactly what she bargained for, and I don't want to hear her whining about it. So over in Indiana, Jade's mom is still not allowed near Chloe, and Jade just bought her first house in cash. Jade, 2 snaps for you. Good for you, girl. Congratulations. I told you guys. I suspected it in episode 1 or 2 that the teen mom check cleared for Jade, the good one, the real teen mom check, because she started rolling around in a newer Mercedes. At first she was driving around in like a 90s Mercedes or something like that, or early 2000s. She's also got that Louis Vuitton Neverfull that the girls get whenever the money hits and all that. So I'm like, okay, girl, nothing to it but to do it. And I'm glad that she bought a home, especially cash, with all that money now, so that she has that stability for her daughter that she never had, because they were always moving around because her parents could not keep a proper roof over her head. I really hope she doesn't let that bum ass boyfriend move in, but we all know she will. Now, over in Dover, Jaylan and Leah exchange I love yous about 1 month and 1 week into dating at this point. Honestly, they are moving at a snail's pace. Listen, what is Jaylan's obsession with, by the way, this is a pool noodle. What is Jaylan's obsession with Leah's kids? She starts a conversation with him about like Costa Rica being fun and stuff, and he just like brings up the kids unprovoked. He's like, yeah, we talked about your kids, so that was kind of deep too. It's like, child, leave my kids alone. Honestly, I keep asking y'all, what 25-year-old man who is attractive, fit, accomplished, highly, highly, highly educated, about to go for a PhD, what guy, it has like a nice bachelor life and stuff, a normal 25-year-old with that profile is not gonna like give it all up to play stepdaddy to his girlfriend of 1 month's 3 children. Okay, it's just not clicking. It's not normal. Like, the flags are waving for me here. And speaking of kids, Leah decides that 1 month, 30 days, maybe 35 days at this point, because it could be 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day, is the perfect time to introduce Jaylan to her kids. Listen, it turns out that I was being generous in my video about Jaylan buying Leah the house. I was being generous when I said that, she had him meet the kids at 2 or 3 months and had him start living with the kids around 3-4 months. It turns out that Jaylan met these kids about 1 month into dating Leah. Yeah. So, I can't. So, before I pop a neck vein over here, let's go over to Florida. So, Devon's been coming around more since Teen Mom Family well, that's the way that Brianna's framing it. But if you guys recall, I had a lot of videos on this because they kept going back and forth on the internet all the time. But there was a time where Devon was always dropping off and picking up Nova for gymnastics. And Brianna herself admitted it once, much to her own chagrin, that, Devon did the bulk of picking up Nova from school, bringing her to gymnastics. This is when Brianna still had that like lash or microblading salon. Where is that, by the way? And she couldn't do it herself, so Devon was doing it. But like, they're trying to position it as he's just starting to do this. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's what she said. And he's been doing it twice a week now. And then he invites Brianna and Nova out for like a little family dinner, which I thought was sweet. Then we're back in Dover where Kail drops a bomb on us. She FaceTimes Leah to drop this bomb on us. It turns out, you guys, that Vee, before we even get to my opinions about Vee, it turns out, Kail tells Leah that Vee secretly met up with Kail's ex-husband, Javi, when he was going crazy. Remember when he was breaking in through the basement window? Much like this, you guys. Imagine I'm filming a video and someone just pops up through this window. Oh my God. So yes. So Once upon a time, Javi, when he was really upset about that divorce, y'all, he was busting in through Kail's windows. And, Kail had those other kids already. She already had Lincoln and Isaac. And so obviously she was scared. And Javi was furious with her because, she was pop locking and dropping it all over the campus, apparently on Chris Lopez, okay? And so he could have potentially harmed her, right? So it was not a good idea to continue to agitate Javi in that state. And so Vee decided to go behind Kail's back and tell Javi that Kail was 3 months pregnant with Lux at the time, which is Chris's baby. And Javi was always suspicious of Chris. So this would have blown up so badly, And then not only that, but to add insult to injury, Vee told Javi that she brought this up, you guys, that Kail had might not have even been his. Why would she even throw that on top of things? Honestly, I thought that Kail was the one who messed up this relationship with Vee when they were doing the, little break from the podcast. But come to find out, Vee is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Why would she say that, you guys? That is a horrific thing to say. The 3 months pregnant thing was not even fair either, because we all know those first 3 months are risky, right? I know that Kail was filming for it and Vee found out through Joe because Kail told Joe on camera, but it's you're still holding your breath on that level. And then on top of that, the stress of Javi breaking in through windows, the type of windows I just showed y'all. Oh my God, why would you put that on somebody who's pregnant? You know what I mean? And then the whole miscarriage thing that Javi already blamed Kail for. Now you're going to go bring it up to him that it might not have even been his. And you don't even know, Vee, you don't even know that was not Javi's baby. So why would you even bring it up? And to add insult to injury, this shady woman, what did she do? She met up with Javier Marroquin in a Target parking lot in the middle of the night after having a baby. So she just had a baby. She's engaged to this man she's been with for years. And she's out meeting with another man in a Target parking lot in the middle of the night. And we know these teen mom girls love them a parking lot for their little sexcapades. So this is looking a little weird. Target, what time is Target open until over there in Dover, y'all? Aren't they open until at least 9? You don't have to meet in the middle of the night, girl. You can meet during the day. Don't they usually have Starbucks in there? You can meet at the Starbucks. You don't have to. Were you guys hopping in a car together, or were your car side to side? Did he plug in your charger? Vee, this is looking real suspicious. This is looking real weird. If I were Joe, I would be asking questions, because I say this all the time when I recap their podcast. But the fact that Vee is so okay with Kail disrespecting her husband, to me comes across as she sees that marriage as a means to an end, and the friendship with Kail also as a means to an end, and she does not give any FUCKs. So all of this together is making me look even crazier at Vee, because she's looking real shady, both to Kail and to her own husband, Joe. Something's not adding up with this girl. And when I say that these girls love boning in a parking lot, let's run the numbers, right? Didn't Leah conceive the twins in the back of a truck after prom? Didn't Leah also have that affair with, Corey had the affair. He's the married one. Didn't Corey have an affair on Miranda with Leah in the back of a pickup truck? That's 2 now. Wasn't Lux conceived in the back of a Mercedes truck in a strip mall parking lot? There's 4. And let's not forget Wawa Gate involving Javier Marroquin. This is looking weird. This is looking very weird, Vee. I need you to go on the record and really explain this in detail so we can see what was really going on at the time, because that's a mess. Like I said, Vee should really be ashamed of herself for what it is that she did. I know Kail was trash to her and stuff, but some things you just don't mess with. You don't bring up somebody's, the loss of somebody's child or baby, and then, start a rumor about that. That is dirty. That is dirty. That's really, really dirty. And I feel like some of y'all hate Kail so much that you're not going to recognize that for what it is. You're going to brush it aside and say that Kail deserved it. But no, Nobody deserves for that to happen to them. Now, oh my God, here come Ashley and Bar talking about the same damn thing. I am fast forwarding through this. I'm not listening to this, you guys. I'm sorry. So let's go back to Indiana, where Jade tells her grifting ass Sean that she's been looking at houses and stuff. You know, this girl's a glutton for punishment at this point. Like, let that man run through her money. Let him use up her electricity bill playing his video games all day. Her problem, not mine. Also worth noting, I really loved her hair and makeup here. Does Jade look super British to other people too? Like, sometimes when I see her, I'm like, am I watching the UK version of this show? Because this girl looks really, and I don't even know what it means to look British. You know, some people just look very like some people just look very British. I see some people, I'm like, oh, this person looks very American. This person looks very Canadian. This person looks very British. This person looks very French. This person looks very this, that. Like, she just has that look to her. I think it's her overall style and like her general just like features as well. I don't know, like, she just looks very British. So at this point, we're back in West Virginia, where Leah picks up the girls from school and then she talks to them about Jaylan. And when she talks to Jaylan, she kind of lets us know basically that these girls were aware of her latest boyfriend before they went to Costa Rica together, meaning she told them she was dating almost immediately after their first date, if you're keeping up with this timeline the way that I am. So we also find out that Jaylan was at the house before the kids could get in there. So it's like, okay, she said earlier when she was going to pick up her kids that he was staying at a hotel. So how does he get from the hotel to the house? You know, I don't believe he was staying at a hotel. I believe that man was already staying in the house and we were pretending to meet him, because we know they like to stage things around here, right? And play around with us. I believe that he was already staying at that house. I believe that. So the girls and stuff. Also worth noting, Allie asked how long he's going to be staying for. And it's like, okay, well, that's a weird question. What do you mean how long he's going to be staying for? I thought you were about to meet him for the first time and that's it. Like, no one said anything about him staying there, unless of course he was already staying there, which is what it's starting to seem like, right? And then Leah also says she doesn't know how long he'll stay for. What does that mean? If your man is about to meet your kids, aren't you like knowing that he'll stay for a couple hours, right? If he's not sleeping the night around your kids, wouldn't you say, oh, he's just going to hang out with you guys for like an hour or two, right? That's how it works, right? So I really believe that Jaylan was already living there based on that conversation. I feel like she got herself with that. Allie, listen, I have to say, y'all know how I feel about kids with attitude, right? You know how I feel about Leah trying to make that Addie one a star. You know, she's really trying to like hype her up to talk to grown folks any kind of way, and I don't like it. Listen, I noticed Allie starting to have a bit of an attitude early in the season, but I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I was like, okay, Leah's trying to make a storyline out of her disability, and I would find that annoying too. So I'm gonna let it slide, even though she do be kind of slick. But in this episode, I really did not like the way that she spoke to Leah when she introduced Jaylan to her. You know, like introduced. Oh, you know what? Allie exposed her mama. Never mind. So Leah goes, "This is Jaylan," and then Allie goes, "I know." I was like, that's kind of rude. You know, I really don't like when kids speak like this to grown folks, but I digress. But at the same time, it's like, maybe she was having an attitude because she did not want to recreate this fake narrative for her fake mama. In which case, you go, girl. So, you know, they're talking. It turns out Jaylan has a twin as well. He's a fraternal twin. He's got a sister twin. And then Leah tells the girls that it was important to her that she waited a whopping 4 weeks to introduce her latest boyfriend to them. And I had to laugh. I'm sorry, Leah, I gotta laugh. It should be illegal to be this funny and delusional because I don't know how you do it. So now we're going over to Dover, where Kail meets up with Vee to discuss the hobby stuff. So, you know, Vee sits down and she explains herself, and she blames her actions on being a new mom, suffering from postpartum depression, not having anybody near her. Listen, I like that she took accountability, but I still cannot believe what she did. And Kail says that, listen, maybe we're not going to be business partners, but I'd still like to be friends. I'm like, wait a minute. Why would you want to be friends with somebody like that versus business partners? I would rather keep a business relationship. You know, I would rather make money hanging out with you than hang out with you just because, you know, because at this point I can't trust you, right? So I found that very, very odd. Listen, we all know that the podcast continues on to this day anyway, and that Vee also launched some kind of podcast on Kail's some kind of podcast network. So we already know how that goes. But I found it odd. Why would you want to be friends with somebody like that but not work with them? I would rather work. Well, I guess because the podcast was called Baby Mama's No Drama. Then we get back to Leah and her tangled web of lies. Honestly, she's entertaining me so hard with her delusion and her lies. Sis, I have the timeline on you. You know, you are not fooling me. You're not fooling me. You are not fooling my cute co-reporters. No, 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 no. They are too fabulous and too smart to believe your lies. So Leah talks to the girls after Jaylan leaves, and she talks to them about Jay meeting them, and they seemed happy with it. One thing I want to add is that I found it interesting that race was never brought up. I know that the girls already had another black man living with them, TR dues, but West Virginia, y'all know how many black people do you? I always wonder, because as someone who dates people from all kinds of different backgrounds, I'm like, I wonder what they'd be talking about when I leave. Do they have conversations? So it was interesting to me that it was never brought up or anything like that. I was like, oh, that's nice. Leah claims that she took her time, all 4 weeks of it, and that she doesn't introduce just anybody to the girls. I was like, you know what? That's true. She doesn't just introduce just anybody to the girls. She moves just anybody in with the girls, because this is the fourth man that those 13-year-old girls have been living with who is not their father. And that is weird. That is wild. That is dangerous. The fact that Leah just wants to pretend that that's not happening is so funny to me. Well, no, it's not funny. It's sick, but we laugh to get through the pain. So now, on the final scene of the episode, I'm so happy that we finished on a lighter, more responsible, happy note. It ends with Jade buying her home. Good for her. I'm so proud of how hard she worked, because listen, Jade was not brought up in a good family, okay? And she was not brought up with a mindset of ownership, because nobody in her parents, her grandparents, they've never owned anything, So for her to rise above that and all the chaos that comes with drug addicted parents, who are trying to use your money, who are draining, pulling you down and stuff, who you almost have to parent, to rise above that and to own a salon, then to own your own home, that's incredible to me that she got that mindset for herself and she's pushing through to achieve those things. Anyway, guys, that does it. A recap of what went down on last night's episode of Teen Mom 2. Let me know what you think about anything. Did you guys also add up all of those lies that Leah was spreading about that relationship of hers? Let me know. And again, why was all of her stuff happening in the span of a couple of weeks while Kail came back after a couple of months? It was a little bit jarring for me. And also the whole Brittany and Brianna leaving for Teen Mom Family Reunion, them popping up, I was like, wait a second, they didn't say anything about them going to shoot this show last episode, if I'm remembering correctly. The episode felt a little disjointed, you guys. It really did, but I digress. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.